Good evening, book lovers of the internet. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe because for every subscriber, I get a new subscriber, and you also read a page from a book of my choice. In today's video, I am going to be reviewing Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller. This is my copy. I had to print it out because I couldn't find a regular version in time. So, as you might know, I have an exam tomorrow and I have to write about this. So, yeah, I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. It has about 140 pages, I think. Something along those lines, maybe 120, 140. So I thought of this as a very depressing read, and it almost brought me to tears since the characters are written so well, and there is so much emotional attachment going on with the characters, so much so that even through reading the play rather than through watching it happen, it is very immersive. And that isn't something that happened when I was reading Blasted by Sarah Kane, for instance, or even in any of the other plays I had to do, for instance, Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett or The Birthday Party by Harold Pinter. So I thought that this was almost perfect for a day, made depressing by the fact that I have an exam where I'm expected to write about this play and three others tomorrow. So you know how when you have a bad day, when you have a sad day, you tend to listen to sad music to make up for it, and that is quite ironic in a way. That is exactly what I did, but with this play, and it worked out perfectly because now I know exactly what I have to write about tomorrow. So it was written at a time where I suppose mental health was still quite taboo. It wasn't taken as seriously as it is today, and nobody truly understood what the main character, Willie, was going through when his world came crashing down. I mean, this guy lost his job, his kids didn't really love him anymore, and the only redeeming quality about him was that he had a very loving and caring wife. And his kids basically are two boys, they're called Biff and Happy, and he considers them to be an extension of himself. They did try to make him proud at first, but I suppose they did not want the same life he wanted for them, and he started to think of them as disappointments after a while, even complaining about that with his wife to feel better about himself. So I'll go into that reasoning further later on. So this, I think, massively reflects on what he thinks of himself, and in fact, I think that throughout the play he is projecting a version of himself onto his own children, but since they don't want to be the same as their father, he doesn't think of them the same way. And yeah, he is. This does come across as a yell for help, and he doesn't really have anyone to listen to him except for his wife. So I do like Linda's character because she is an extremely understanding and loving wife, considering that Willie spends most of his time living in denial, and she even protects her husband from his own children when they start to show him that they don't really care, especially Biff. Happy is the guy who tries to make his family happy, feel better. Biff is the guy who doesn't want to have anything to do with his family. And he is 34 years old after all, still living with his family. I feel as though it is high time that he should just leave at this point. And the perspective in this play is a rather challenging one, and the reader is also faced with a constant shift between the past and the present, whereby the memories of Willie are almost transposing themselves onto the happenings of the present, and this constant mesh can be very confusing, but at the same time, it helps us understand what Will is going through as well. Maybe his sort of schizophrenic tendencies kicking in. We can kind of get that sort of understanding, although this is never really said explicitly, since I don't think schizophrenia was even really taken that seriously back then. People would just get lobotomized if they were acting all crazy. So, money is, of course, a very central theme here, and the main issue is that of Willie not being able to, of course, make enough of it. And in retrospect, there is, of course, a lot of foreshadowing as to what would happen. And this foreshadowing, of course, if we ignore the title, it is happening mostly through Willie's conversations and the way he says certain things to indicate that he is going to eventually kill himself, which is quite a shame. It made me really sad to see the way he did it as well. And the conversations he holds with himself are, of course, the saddest, as he is trying to hold on to a version of himself from the past that is still hopeful for the future, rather than a waste, perhaps someone who is even better off dead in the present. It's a shame to see Biff's negative attitude towards his father, but at the same time, simultaneously, one can understand why Biff would feel this way. He wants to live his own life after all, he wants to feel independent, especially since he is 34 years old. One final point I'd like to add is that Biff's brother being called Happy is absolutely ironic, as we see very little of the happiness emotion going on in display, except for maybe when Willie is daydreaming of better times. But I suppose Happy's attitude does check out in the sense that he does actually bring in a certain level of happiness. And I think this play was resonated with me quite a lot because I too don't really want to be like my parents. I want to have my own attitude, my own career, my own life, make my own choices. I don't want anyone to be influencing me, and I just want people to believe in me in a way. And this isn't something that I tend to experience on a daily basis. So I understand both perspectives, both the way the parents feel, Linda and Willie, but I also understand Biff's perspective. So yeah, I think this really hit home. It was a very good play, and I would have rated it higher, but I think um, it kind of took too long to get to the point, I imagine, and there were certain characters introduced which weren't fleshed out as well as the main ones, and I think that was completely unnecessary. But I think 4 out of 5 stars is very well deserved, and Arthur Miller is certainly one of my favorite playwrights from the ones I had to read and get to know for the exam I have tomorrow. So wish me luck. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, the usual stuff to help out my channel. And I hope to see you in the next one very, very soon. Bye, guys.